Disclaimer: the automotive market involves significant financial commitments, and purchasing a vehicle is one of the largest financial decisions you can make. The information provided in this video regarding the 2026 automotive landscape, including pricing trends, technological advancements, vehicle depreciation, financing rates, and market forecasts, is intended strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute professional financial, legal, or automotive purchasing advice. Automotive markets are highly volatile and subject to rapid shifts based on supply chain disruptions, federal and state tax incentives, fluctuating interest rates, and manufacturer pricing strategies. We strongly advise all viewers to conduct their own independent due diligence, consult with certified financial advisors regarding auto loans or leases, and research specific vehicle reliability data before making any purchasing decisions. Your individual financial situation and transportation needs are unique, and past market performance or historical trends do not assure future potential outcomes. Picture this: you walk into a dealership right now, checkbook in hand, ready to finally upgrade your daily driver. You have spent months saving, analyzing your budget, and preparing for the high-stakes negotiation. But what if I told you that signing that paperwork today could instantly vaporize $20,000 of your hard-earned net worth the moment your tires touch the public pavement? The American automotive industry is currently standing on the precipice of the most aggressive technological and economic tectonic shift we have witnessed since the invention of the assembly line. Over the past few years, we have seen historical trends of skyrocketing dealership markups, endless supply chain shortages, and an electric vehicle market that frequently felt more like a beta test than a reliable transportation solution for the average family. Consumers were forced into desperate bidding wars for outdated platforms, paying luxury prices for economy-grade technology just to secure a way to get to work. But the landscape has violently fractured. According to recent automotive market case studies, nearly 40% of Americans who purchased a brand new vehicle between 2022 and 2024 are now severely underwater on their auto loans, trapped in depreciating assets that lack the foundational hardware required for the next decade of driving. They bought at the absolute peak of automotive inflation, and now an unprecedented wave of engineering is about to render those previous models practically obsolete. This is not hyperbole. The vehicles rolling off the assembly lines for the 2026 model year are fundamentally breaking the established rules of the road. We are looking at a scenario where legacy automakers and disruptive tech companies have finally stopped making excuses and started delivering on the advanced concept cars they have been teasing the public with for half a decade. But here is the critical catch: the vital open loop you need to understand before you even think about setting foot on a dealership lot. Not every 2026 model is an engineering masterpiece. In fact, hidden among the genuine technological marvels are absolute financial sinkholes masquerading as the next big thing. Some manufacturers are quietly pushing recycled, decade-old platforms hidden beneath aggressive new aerodynamic body panels, desperately hoping you will not notice the glaring lack of genuine innovation under the hood. If you make the wrong choice this year, you are not just buying a bad car. You are permanently locking yourself out of the generational leap in automotive capability, safety, and efficiency that is entirely rewriting the secondary resale market. You need to know exactly what is real, what is pure marketing fiction, and why the vehicles dominating the mainstream media headlines right now might be the exact ones you need to avoid at all costs. We are going to strictly expose the hidden architecture of the upcoming model year, tearing down the corporate press releases and analyzing the raw engineering data to show you exactly why millions of American buyers are holding their breath, keeping their current cars running just a little bit longer, and waiting specifically for what comes next. Today, we are solving the ultimate automotive dilemma facing the American consumer. You are likely experiencing the profound fatigue of endless car reviews that focus on trivial details like cup holders and ambient lighting, while completely ignoring the brutal macroeconomic reality of owning and maintaining a vehicle in 2026. This deep dive masterclass is meticulously designed to cut through the industry noise, the dealership propaganda, and the glossy brochure statistics to provide you with the exact analytical framework you need to successfully navigate this unprecedented market transition. We are going fundamentally deep into the 5 definitive reasons why the 2026 car models are generating a level of excitement and consumer anticipation that we have not tracked in our historical data models for over 20 years. By the time we conclude this session, you will possess a comprehensive step-by-step understanding of the exact technological breakthroughs, financial market shifts, and engineering miracles that are physically hitting the streets right now. We will deeply analyze how solid-state battery architecture is finally moving from the isolated laboratory testing phase to the everyday driveway, exploring the potential outcomes of permanently curing range anxiety while drastically altering the weight dynamics, crash safety profiles, and charging speeds for daily commuters. We will break down the highly aggressive price wars initiated by legacy Detroit automakers as they attempt to reclaim their historic market share from agile overseas disruptors, a fierce economic battle that is forcefully pushing the manufacturer's suggested retail price of high-performance and high-utility vehicles back into the realm of middle-class affordability. Furthermore, we will extensively explore the advanced semi-autonomous driver assistance systems that are no longer locked behind exorbitant luxury paywalls, but are now becoming standard, highly regulated equipment on entry-level sedans and family crossovers. You will learn step-by-step how these specific sensor integrations are heavily influencing automotive insurance premiums across the country, potentially saving informed buyers thousands of dollars over the total lifespan of their vehicle ownership. We will also dissect the highly unexpected resurgence of the internal combustion engine, carefully analyzing how advanced synthetic fuels and extreme high-efficiency hybrid powertrains are providing a vital, financially viable lifeline for automotive enthusiasts, rural drivers, and long-haul commuters who are not yet geographically or financially ready to transition to a fully electrified ecosystem. This comprehensive analysis is entirely about equipping you with the specialized, insider knowledge required to properly identify which 2026 vehicles are mathematically destined to become highly sought-after assets with rock-solid future resale value, and which specific models are destined to languish as heavily depreciated liabilities on the used car lots of tomorrow. We will provide you with the critical analytical tools to approach any dealership salesperson not as a vulnerable, uninformed buyer, but as a highly educated market participant who intimately understands the hidden financial leverage points of the current automotive economy. You are about to discover precisely why the long wait is finally over, why the strategic patience of the American consumer is about to be heavily rewarded, and exactly how you can strategically position your finances to take full advantage of what is rapidly shaping up to be the greatest buyer's market in modern automotive history. We are leaving absolutely no stone unturned, rigorously analyzing the new chassis structural rigidities, the over-the-air software-defined vehicle architectures, the rapidly shifting manufacturer warranty paradigms, and the underlying global supply chain stabilization that makes this specific model year the ultimate turning point for consumers. Prepare to fundamentally change how you view your driveway and your daily commute, because the vehicles of 2026 are no longer just traditional tools for transportation. They are highly sophisticated, mobile energy and data hubs that will permanently redefine your entire relationship with the open road. Let us dive straight into the first major catalyst driving this massive wave of consumer anticipation. Reason number one is the commercialization and mass deployment of solid-state battery architecture, a technological breakthrough that is officially signaling the end of range anxiety for the American consumer. For the last decade, early adopters of electric vehicles had to accept a distinct and often frustrating compromise. You had to meticulously plan your family road trips around charging infrastructure availability, carefully calculate thermal degradation during the harsh winter months, and accept the reality that your vehicle was essentially carrying a massive, incredibly heavy liquid chemical plant securely bolted beneath the floorboards. Historical trends consistently showed that mainstream consumer hesitation in the United States was rarely about the driving dynamics or the instant torque of electric vehicles, but rather the underlying pervasive anxiety of the charging experience and the long-term reliability of the power source. But here in 2026, that entire paradigm is violently shifting. We are finally witnessing the very first wave of mainstream consumer vehicles integrating authentic solid-state technology, and the potential outcomes for the average American driver are absolutely staggering. To fully grasp why this is such a monumental engineering leap, we must meticulously break down the step-by-step differences in the battery chemistry. Traditional lithium-ion batteries, which have powered practically everything from your smartphone to legacy electric cars, rely heavily on a liquid electrolyte solution to physically move ions back and forth between the anode and the cathode to create power. This liquid component is incredibly heavy, it is highly sensitive to extreme temperature fluctuations, and most importantly, it severely limits how fast you can push electricity into the cell during a rapid charging session without risking catastrophic thermal runaway. Solid-state batteries completely eliminate and replace that volatile liquid with a highly stable solid ceramic or polymer material. Imagine if you are a driver like David, a regional medical sales representative based in Houston, Texas, who regularly logs hundreds of miles a week traversing the massive interstate highway system. Under the old liquid lithium-ion paradigm, David had to precisely account for at least a 45-minute stop at a commercial fast charger, carefully monitoring his state of charge while desperately trying not to lose valuable working hours. With the 2026 models hitting the showroom floors equipped with first-generation solid-state cells, the entire logistical equation changes overnight. We are actively analyzing case studies from recent beta testing fleets and early production models where these new solid-state power packs are consistently accepting peak charge rates exceeding 400 kilowatts without generating dangerous levels of excess heat. In highly practical terms, David can now pull his 2026 electric sedan into a high-capacity highway charging station, plug the vehicle in, and watch his battery state of charge rocket from 10% all the way to 80% in approximately 8 to 12 minutes. That is essentially the exact same amount of time it historically takes to pump a full tank of premium unleaded gasoline, use the restroom facilities, and purchase a cup of coffee. The psychological barrier of range anxiety has not just been incrementally reduced, it has been fundamentally eradicated from the daily driving experience. Furthermore, we must examine the highly specific impact of this solid-state technology on Americans living in regions prone to extreme seasonal climates. Let us look at a practical scenario involving a consumer named Jessica living in Chicago, Illinois. Historical data indicates that legacy electric vehicles manufactured between 2020 and 2023 could lose upwards of 35% of their total advertised driving range when the ambient temperature plummeted well below freezing. The liquid electrolytes would physically thicken in the cold, drastically increasing internal electrical resistance and aggressively throttling both the maximum power output and the regenerative braking capabilities. Solid-state chemistry practically ignores these severe temperature extremes entirely. Because the new electrolyte is a completely stable, solid physical structure, its ionic conductivity remains remarkably consistent whether it is a blistering summer afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona, or a sub-zero winter morning in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Jessica can now purchase a 2026 electric crossover and confidently rely on a completely predictable, mathematically stable daily range, regardless of the unpredictable Midwestern weather patterns. This breakthrough is not merely a localized technological victory, it is deeply intertwined with the massive restructuring of the American manufacturing sector. Throughout 2024 and 2025, billions of corporate and federal dollars were strategically injected into domestic battery production facilities stretching across the Midwestern Rust Belt and the Southern Sun Belt. We are now seeing the direct, tangible results of those massive capital investments coming online. The localized American production of solid-state cells significantly reduces the traditional reliance on highly volatile overseas supply chains, drastically lowering the overall shipping, import, and logistics costs that previously inflated the manufacturer's suggested retail price of advanced vehicles. This localized supply chain stabilization is precisely why you are seeing legacy American Detroit automakers suddenly offering these hyper-advanced 2026 vehicles at price points that finally directly compete with traditional internal combustion engine cars. And the cascading benefits compound even further when we analyze the physical architecture and the driving dynamics of the vehicles themselves. Solid-state batteries fundamentally boast a substantially higher energy density than their liquid counterparts. This means automotive engineers can pack the exact same amount of driving range into a structural battery pack that is nearly 30% smaller and drastically lighter. Imagine the extreme secondary effects this weight reduction has on vehicle dynamics. A significantly lighter vehicle requires far less kinetic energy to accelerate, significantly improving overall efficiency metrics and miles per kilowatt hour. It requires significantly less aggressive suspension tuning, leading to a much smoother, quieter, and more compliant ride quality for your daily commute. The emergency braking distances are dramatically reduced because the friction brakes and tires are suddenly tasked with stopping a vehicle that weighs several hundred pounds, less than the bloated previous generation. The 2026 models feel remarkably more agile, responsive, and secure on the pavement because they have finally shed the immense restrictive curb weight of the past. We also cannot possibly ignore the deeply important potential outcomes regarding crash safety and insurance underwriting. Liquid electrolytes are inherently flammable chemical compounds. While catastrophic fires in traditional electric vehicles are statistically rare according to historical automotive safety trends, the elevated risk profile has always heavily influenced comprehensive insurance premiums and municipal first responder training protocols. The solid ceramic electrolytes utilized in the 2026 class of vehicles are practically non-combustible by design. You can physically puncture a solid-state cell in a severe, high-speed collision, and it is chemically designed to not ignite into the uncontrollable, sustained chemical fires that occasionally dominated the mainstream media headlines in previous years. This inherent structural stability is currently triggering a massive, industry-wide reevaluation by major actuarial firms and insurance underwriters across the United States. We are actively tracking market indicators suggesting that the enhanced safety profile of solid-state vehicles could lead to significantly reduced monthly comprehensive insurance premiums over the long term, adding yet another layer of critical financial relief for the everyday American consumer. This radical, undeniable transformation in energy storage is precisely why the American public is aggressively holding onto their cash, extending their current vehicle lifespans, and strictly waiting for the 2026 model year. They are refusing to accept the compromised, rapidly depreciating battery technology of the past. But having a lighter, safer, and infinitely faster charging battery is only the foundational base layer of this new automotive revolution. Because once the leading engineers completely solved the massive energy storage problem, they realized they had simultaneously freed up the physical chassis space and the onboard electrical bandwidth to implement something even more economically disruptive. The entire structural skeleton of the automobile has been quietly and aggressively redesigned from the ground up to support a highly controversial new manufacturing technique. It is a massive industrial shift that is actively terrifying traditional collision repair shops across the country, but potentially saving informed consumers thousands of dollars on the initial dealership purchase price. What exactly are the major automakers doing to the physical underlying chassis in 2026? And why is this specific engineering choice sparking a massive nationwide legal battle regarding your fundamental right to repair your own vehicle? The answer lies in a revolutionary, yet deeply polarizing industrial manufacturing process universally known across the industry as megacasting, and it stands as the absolute foundational reason number 2 why the American consumer is so hyper-focused on the 2026 model year. To fundamentally understand why this specific engineering choice is entirely rewriting the economics of buying a car today, we must first look backward at the historical trends of traditional automotive manufacturing. For nearly a century, building a car chassis was essentially a massive exercise in complex, three-dimensional origami. Automakers would source hundreds of individual sheets of steel and aluminum, meticulously stamp them into highly specific shapes, and then utilize an army of advanced robotic arms to perform thousands of intricate spot welds, applying industrial adhesives and heavy steel rivets to stitch the entire underbody together. This legacy method required massive, sprawling factory footprints, immense amounts of time, and an incredibly fragile global supply chain that was highly susceptible to severe disruptions. Every single weld was a potential point of structural failure over a long-term ownership period, and every individual component added critical pounds to the overall curb weight of the vehicle. But as we analyze the production lines dominating 2026, that entire century-old assembly line paradigm has been violently rendered obsolete. Major legacy automakers and aggressive new startups have universally adopted megacasting. Instead of welding together 150 separate pieces of stamped metal to create the rear structural subframe of a family crossover, automotive engineers are now utilizing massive, multi-story tall die casting machines. These mechanical behemoths physically inject molten, highly engineered aluminum alloys into a colossal steel mold under thousands of tons of immense clamping pressure. In less than 2 minutes, the machine opens and a single unified, perfectly formed front or rear vehicle underbody emerges. This singular technological leap removes hundreds of robots from the factory floor, slashes production time by a staggering margin, and completely eliminates the logistical nightmare of managing thousands of individual smaller parts. The potential outcomes for the upfront financial cost to the consumer are absolutely undeniable. Because the automakers have drastically reduced their overhead manufacturing costs, their factory energy consumption, and their required physical real estate, they are finally in a position to aggressively slash the manufacturer's suggested retail price. This is exactly why you are seeing highly capable, long-range 2026 electric and hybrid vehicles hitting the market at price points that are suddenly undercutting traditional, older gas-powered models. The savings generated by this massive industrial shift are actively being passed down to the dealership lot in a desperate bid to win over the highly skeptical American buyer. Furthermore, from a pure driving dynamics perspective, a megacast chassis provides a level of extreme structural rigidity that was previously reserved only for multi-million-dollar exotic hypercars. When you are commuting to work, the vehicle feels incredibly planted, vibrations are dramatically reduced, and the suspension can be tuned with absolute microscopic precision because the underlying foundation of the car simply does not flex or bend under severe stress. However, this massive leap forward in manufacturing efficiency has deliberately ignited one of the most aggressive, nationwide legal battles we have witnessed in modern automotive history, directly centered entirely around your fundamental right to repair your own vehicle. Imagine if you are a driver named Michael, a local contractor living in Columbus, Ohio. Michael purchases a brand new 2026 truck, featuring a fully megacast front and rear underbody. The upfront purchase price was fantastic, saving him nearly $8,000 compared to a similarly equipped truck from just 3 years ago. But 6 months later, Michael gets into a relatively low-speed, 15-mile-per-hour rear-end collision at a busy suburban intersection. In a legacy vehicle from 2020, a local independent auto body shop could simply unbolt the damaged steel crumple zones, order a few replacement stamped metal parts, weld them back into place, and have Michael back on the road for roughly $2,000. With a megacast vehicle, the mathematical equation changes drastically, and often brutally, because the entire rear third of the vehicle is one singular, massive piece of cast aluminum. A severe impact that causes even a microscopic hairline fracture in the core casting structure cannot simply be unbolted and swapped out in a suburban garage. You cannot easily perform traditional welding on these highly specific, high-pressure aluminum alloys without permanently compromising the metallurgical integrity of the entire chassis. Historical case studies from early adopters of this casting technology clearly demonstrated that insurance companies were being forced to completely total out vehicles with seemingly minor cosmetic exterior damage simply because the underlying gigacast structure was compromised and the manufacturer-mandated repair process was financially unviable. This specific friction point is currently causing massive shockwaves through the American collision repair industry. Thousands of independent mechanics and local body shops are actively lobbying state legislatures in 2026, arguing that automakers are intentionally designing disposable vehicles that completely lock out third-party repair businesses and strictly force consumers to rely entirely on incredibly expensive manufacturer-owned service centers. To combat this massive public relations nightmare and stabilize highly volatile insurance premiums, automakers releasing 2026 models have been forced to implement highly complex, heavily engineered compromises. We are now seeing advanced case studies where engineers have designed specific, replaceable aluminum crush cans and specialized shear zones directly into the extremities of the megacastings. These sacrificial components are explicitly designed to completely absorb the kinetic energy of a low-speed suburban impact, intentionally snapping off to protect the main, highly expensive central casting from suffering any structural damage. It is a highly delicate, high-stakes balancing act between the aggressive pursuit of ultimate manufacturing efficiency and the brutal everyday reality of grocery store parking lot fender benders. This intricate dance between manufacturing cost reduction and long-term repairability is forcing American consumers to deeply analyze the total cost of ownership before signing any financing paperwork. You are no longer just buying a method of transportation. You are investing in a highly polarized industrial philosophy. But as we look deeper into the architecture of these 2026 vehicles, the physical hardware of the megacast chassis and the solid-state battery are ultimately just the silent physical hosts for something far more disruptive. Once you have a unified, rigid structure and an endless supply of stable electrical power, you have successfully laid the precise foundation required to fundamentally replace the human driver's decision-making process. The physical engineering we just analyzed is merely the blank canvas for a massive centralized digital brain that is actively processing billions of calculations per second. This brings us to the terrifyingly precise, highly regulated world of advanced centralized compute architectures. What exactly happens when your 2026 vehicle fundamentally stops operating as a traditional machine made of aluminum and rubber and permanently transitions into a rolling, hyper-connected supercomputer that actively monitors your eye movements, predicts your daily routine, and mathematically decides who is at fault milliseconds before an unavoidable collision even occurs? This brings us directly to the third monumental reason why the American public is fundamentally obsessing over the 2026 model year, which is the complete and permanent transition to the software-defined vehicle powered by a centralized compute architecture. To fully understand the magnitude of this shift, we must deeply analyze the historical trends of automotive electronics. For the past 3 decades, legacy automakers built vehicles using a highly fragmented, distributed network of electronic control units. A traditional premium vehicle manufactured in 2021 might contain over 150 separate, highly specialized microchips. You had one specific chip strictly dedicated to rolling down the passenger window, an entirely different chip controlling the windshield wipers, another managing the anti-lock braking system, and yet another handling the transmission shifts. These isolated microprocessors were incredibly basic, severely underpowered, and most importantly, they fundamentally could not communicate with one another effectively because they were connected by highly restrictive, incredibly slow legacy wiring harnesses known as the controller area network bus. This severe lack of integration is exactly why a blind spot monitor in an older vehicle could beep loudly to warn you of a collision, but it possessed absolutely zero physical authority to actively steer the steering wheel or apply the brakes to save your life. In the 2026 model year, that entire archaic distributed network has been completely eradicated and replaced by something far more closely resembling a military-grade supercomputer. Major automakers have aggressively consolidated those 150-weak electronic control units into 2 or 3 massively powerful, liquid-cooled central processing nodes strategically mounted deep within the protective megacast chassis. These centralized digital brains are processing trillions of operations per second, connected to every single sensor, motor, and safety restraint in the vehicle via high-speed, gigabit automotive Ethernet cables. The potential outcomes of this architectural revolution are absolutely staggering when you apply them to real-world driving scenarios. Imagine if you are a driver named Marcus, a logistics manager living in Denver, Colorado, navigating a highly treacherous, icy mountain pass during a severe winter storm. Under the legacy automotive paradigm, Marcus had to rely entirely on his own human reaction time, visually scanning the road through blinding snow, hoping his traditional all-wheel drive system could mechanically react fast enough if he hit a patch of black ice. But in a 2026 vehicle equipped with a centralized compute architecture, the vehicle is no longer passively waiting for the driver to make a mistake. The supercomputer is actively fusing data from a localized suite of high-definition optical cameras, front and rear-facing millimeter wave radar, and roof-mounted solid-state LiDAR systems. It is continuously emitting millions of microscopic laser pulses every single second, penetrating the heavy snowfall to actively map the surrounding physical environment in a highly dense, three-dimensional voxel grid. Before Marcus even visually registers that the vehicle traveling 300 yards ahead of him has completely lost traction and spun across the highway, his 2026 vehicle has already mathematically simulated 14 different potential collision avoidance trajectories. The central processor instantly analyzes the precise friction coefficient of the pavement beneath each individual tire, calculating exactly how much grip is available. Because the computer has direct, unrestricted access to the electric motors and the megacast suspension architecture, it can independently aggressively brake the rear left wheel while simultaneously applying a massive surge of forward torque to the front right wheel, physically rotating the entire vehicle into a controlled evasive lane change maneuver. It mathematically determines that a collision is avoidable, pre-tensions the seatbelts across the driver's chest to eliminate slack, and gracefully steers the vehicle entirely around the hazard. This entire complex sequence of data processing, mathematical trajectory calculation, and physical-mechanical execution happens in less than 400 milliseconds. The vehicle fundamentally steps in as an omniscient co-pilot, aggressively mitigating human error and drastically lowering the statistical probability of severe accidents. But the continuous monitoring does not just stop at the exterior environment. It is deeply focused on the interior cabin as well. The implementation of highly advanced driver monitoring systems is a critical component of the 2026 standard equipment list. We are no longer talking about a simple warning chime that activates if you drift over a painted lane line. These new interior arrays utilize highly sophisticated infrared cameras securely mounted within the steering column and the rearview mirror housing that actively scan the driver's face 60 times per second. The centralized computer is continuously calculating your precise pupil dilation, meticulously tracking exactly where your retinas are focusing, analyzing your blink rate to measure cognitive fatigue, and even utilizing microscopic sensors embedded within the steering wheel to monitor your resting heart rate and blood oxygen levels. If we look at recent case studies involving these newly deployed driver monitoring systems, the potential outcomes for preventative safety are revolutionary. Imagine a scenario where a driver experiences a sudden, severe medical emergency, such as a localized seizure or cardiac arrest, while traveling at highway speeds. The 2026 vehicle's centralized computer instantly recognizes the erratic biological data, visually confirms the driver has completely lost consciousness, and immediately overrides manual control. The supercomputer forcefully activates the hazard lights, mathematically calculates the safest trajectory through active traffic, safely navigates the vehicle to the emergency shoulder, initiates a complete stop, and automatically utilizes the onboard cellular connection to dispatch local municipal first responders to your exact global positioning coordinates. This extreme level of localized data processing is also entirely reshaping the deeply complex relationship between the American consumer and the automotive insurance industry. For decades, highly accurate actuarial data was incredibly difficult to acquire, forcing insurance underwriters to base your monthly premiums on vast, generalized demographic statistics rather than your actual individual driving behavior. In 2026, informed consumers are increasingly opting into secure, heavily encrypted direct data sharing agreements with major insurance providers. Because the vehicle's centralized computer can mathematically prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that a driver consistently maintains a safe following distance, rarely engages the anti-lock braking system, and maintains constant visual attention on the road, insurance companies are actively rewarding these behaviors with massive financial discounts. We are tracking specific market indicators where utilizing these advanced software-defined vehicles can potentially slash comprehensive insurance premiums by upwards of 40% over a standard policy lifecycle, injecting thousands of dollars back into the household budget of the average American family. Furthermore, this immense processing power permanently solves one of the most brutal financial realities of automotive ownership, which is catastrophic initial depreciation. Historically, the absolute best version of a vehicle you ever drove was on the exact day you signed the paperwork and drove it off the dealership lot. From that moment forward, the software became increasingly outdated, the navigation maps degraded, and the powertrain efficiency remained entirely static while the vehicle rapidly lost its financial value. The 2026 software-defined vehicles completely invert this deeply flawed economic model through the aggressive implementation of heavy root-level over-the-air software updates. Let us examine a highly practical scenario involving a consumer named Sarah, an architectural designer living in Atlanta, Georgia. Sarah purchases a 2026 electric crossover. 6 months into her ownership experience, she parks her vehicle in her residential garage and securely connects it to her home wireless network. While she is asleep, the manufacturer pushes a massive, highly encrypted, 5 GB software update directly into the vehicle's centralized supercomputer. When Sarah wakes up the next morning, she discovers that automotive engineers thousands of miles away have successfully rewritten the complex mathematical algorithms controlling the vehicle's battery thermal management system and the regenerative braking torque curve. Without ever visiting a physical dealership or paying a certified mechanic, her vehicle now possesses an additional 12% of total driving range, the acceleration profile has been dramatically smoothed out for city driving, and the dashboard features a completely upgraded, highly responsive user interface. This continuous, aggressive cycle of software enhancement ensures that the 2026 models actively appreciate in their daily utility and digital capability over time, heavily fortifying their long-term resale value in the highly competitive secondary market. The vehicle you own in year 3 is mathematically and functionally superior to the vehicle you originally purchased in year 1. But this unprecedented level of digital sophistication, solid-state battery power, and megacast structural rigidity is completely useless if the American consumer is financially barred from actually purchasing the vehicle due to predatory sales tactics. The advanced engineering is merely the product, the actual battlefield is the dealership floor. And right now, in 2026, a massive economic shockwave is completely collapsing the traditional, deeply despised franchise dealership model, forcefully initiating a brutal nationwide price war that is heavily favoring the informed buyer. How exactly are legacy automakers systematically dismantling the aggressive dealership markups of the past? And why is this precise financial restructuring the critical fourth reason you need to aggressively prepare your budget right now? This brings us directly to the fourth foundational reason why the American public is heavily anticipating the 2026 automotive landscape, and it has absolutely nothing to do with engineering, battery chemistry, or autonomous driving software. It is the complete, systemic collapse of the traditional franchise dealership markup model and the rapid implementation of transparent, direct-to-consumer pricing architectures. To fully comprehend the massive financial relief this brings to the everyday buyer, we must rigorously analyze the brutal historical trends that dominated the automotive market between 2021 and 2023. During that highly volatile period, Severe global supply chain shortages created an artificial scarcity of vehicles. Traditional franchise dealerships across the United States capitalized on this unprecedented lack of inventory by aggressively applying additional dealer markups, commonly referred to as market adjustments, to almost every single highly desirable vehicle on their lots. American consumers were routinely forced to pay $5,000, $10,000, and in some extreme cases involving popular electric trucks or performance vehicles, upwards of $30,000 strictly over the manufacturer's suggested retail price just for the privilege of purchasing a car. This predatory pricing environment completely shattered consumer trust, destroyed decades of hard-earned brand loyalty, and created a deeply toxic, highly adversarial relationship between the buyer and the local showroom. Legacy automakers closely watched this catastrophic public relations nightmare unfold and realized they were facing a massive existential threat. Disruptive electric vehicle startups had already successfully pioneered a direct sales model where the consumer simply opened a mobile application, selected their vehicle configuration, and paid a fixed, completely transparent price without ever negotiating with a commissioned salesperson. In 2026, the massive legacy automotive corporations are finally striking back, aggressively restructuring their localized franchise agreements to implement what the industry refers to as the agency model. This is a monumental financial restructuring that completely changes the mathematical equation of buying a new car. Under the newly implemented agency model for 2026, the local dealership no longer purchases the inventory wholesale from the manufacturer to resell it to you at a massive hidden profit margin. Instead, the manufacturer actively retains total ownership of the physical vehicle inventory, all the way up until the precise moment the final paperwork is signed by the consumer. Imagine if you are a prospective buyer named Robert, a middle school administrator living in Orlando, Florida. If Robert attempted to purchase a highly sought-after hybrid crossover in 2022, he would have spent weeks driving to 5 different local dealerships, engaging in exhausting high-pressure negotiations, fighting off mandatory dealer-installed accessories like overpriced floor mats or nitrogen-filled tires, and ultimately paying thousands of dollars over the sticker price. The entire process was designed to mathematically confuse the consumer and maximize the dealership profit at every single friction point. Fast forward to 2026. Robert simply logs onto the manufacturer's central website from his living room sofa. He meticulously configures his ideal vehicle, selects his preferred solid-state battery capacity, and chooses his exterior color. The exact final price is clearly displayed on his screen, entirely devoid of any hidden local market adjustments. Robert secures his financing directly through the manufacturer captive finance company at a transparent, nationally advertised interest rate, completely bypassing the notoriously aggressive dealership finance and insurance office where consumers historically lost thousands of dollars on hidden gap insurance and extended warranty markups. Once Robert completes the digital transaction, the manufacturer mathematically calculates the logistics and ships that exact, specific vehicle to his local Orlando dealership. The local dealership now acts strictly as a delivery and service center. They receive a standardized, non-negotiable flat fee directly from the manufacturer for receiving the vehicle, washing it, handing Robert the keys, and explaining how the digital infotainment system works. The commissioned, high-pressure automotive salesperson is rapidly being replaced by a salaried product specialist whose sole professional responsibility is ensuring customer satisfaction rather than maximizing front-end gross profit. The potential outcomes of this massive shift are incredibly profound for the American working class. By completely eliminating the bloated, artificial profit margins of the traditional middleman, automakers are effectively lowering the total barrier to entry for acquiring highly advanced, technologically sophisticated vehicles. Furthermore, this extreme transition to transparent pricing has ignited a brutal nationwide price war among the major automotive manufacturers. In the legacy system, automakers could not reliably control the final transaction price, which meant they could not effectively compete on price at the local level. A manufacturer could theoretically reduce the price of their vehicle by $3,000 to stimulate sales, but the local franchise dealer would often simply absorb that discount as pure profit, keeping the final price exactly the same for the consumer. In the 2026 agency model, because the pricing is completely fixed and universally visible online, manufacturers are actively forced to compete directly against one another for your hard-earned capital. If one major automaker aggressively slashes the price of their electric sedan by $4,000, their competitors are mathematically forced to respond immediately with identical price cuts or risk, instantly losing massive amounts of national market share. This hyper-competitive environment is precisely why we are seeing the manufacturer-suggested retail prices of 2026 vehicles plummeting back into the realm of middle-class affordability. The automakers are actively utilizing the massive production savings they achieved through the mega-casting manufacturing process we discussed earlier, combined with the dramatically lower localized supply chain costs of domestic solid-state battery production, and they are aggressively passing those specific financial savings directly to the consumer in the form of lower upfront sticker prices. They are no longer heavily relying on the dealership network to artificially inflate the perceived value of the vehicle. Instead, they are relying strictly on the sheer engineering superiority and the undeniable financial value proposition of the hardware itself. We must also analyze the massive shift in how automotive inventory is physically managed across the country. Historically, dealerships would borrow tens of millions of dollars to fill massive, sprawling asphalt lots with hundreds of vehicles in various random trims and colors, desperately hoping a consumer would walk in and compromise on a vehicle that was sitting right in front of them. The dealership had to pay massive daily interest rates, known as flooring costs, on every single vehicle sitting unsold on their lot. Those massive financial holding costs were ultimately quietly passed down to you, the consumer, baked directly into the final purchase price. The 2026 market is actively pivoting toward a highly efficient build-to-order pipeline. Because the advanced centralized compute architectures and megacast chassis are significantly easier and faster to physically assemble on the factory floor, manufacturers can rapidly fulfill custom consumer orders in a matter of weeks rather than months. Dealerships are drastically reducing their physical footprints, holding only a handful of specific demonstration vehicles for test drives, while the vast majority of transactions shift to digital, customized orders. This massive reduction in corporate overhead and localized interest payments is fundamentally stripping billions of dollars of wasted capital out of the automotive supply chain, directly translating into substantially cheaper monthly payments for the everyday driver. You are no longer funding a deeply inefficient, localized monopoly when you purchase a vehicle. You are engaging in a streamlined, highly transparent digital transaction that strictly values your time and actively protects your household budget. But as critical as this financial restructuring is to the American consumer, there is one final massively misunderstood element that is completely dominating the quiet conversations among elite automotive engineers. We have extensively covered the revolutionary battery chemistry, the massive physical manufacturing shifts, the advanced supercomputers driving the vehicle, and the total collapse of the dealership markup model. Yet, millions of Americans absolutely refuse to adopt a fully electric vehicle, and the major automakers have finally stopped ignoring them. There is a deeply controversial, highly advanced alternative propulsion technology arriving in 2026 that is actively saving the internal combustion engine from absolute extinction, providing a massive financial lifeline to rural drivers, heavy towing operators, and traditional automotive enthusiasts. What exactly is this highly classified mechanical resurrection, and why is it mathematically destined to become the most hotly debated engineering topic of the entire decade? The mechanical resurrection we are witnessing in 2026 is the rise of the ultra-high-efficiency range extended electric vehicle, or REV, a technology that is fundamentally saving the internal combustion engine by completely changing its primary job description. To understand why this is the fifth and perhaps most controversial reason Americans are flocking to 2026 showrooms, we have to look at the historical trends of the early 2020s. Back then, the industry was locked in a binary war. You either bought a traditional internal combustion vehicle with a mechanical transmission that wasted massive amounts of energy through heat and friction, or you bought a pure battery electric vehicle and prayed that the charging infrastructure in rural Nebraska or the mountains of West Virginia would actually work when you arrived. Millions of Americans living in the heartland felt completely ignored by the rapid push toward full electrification because their specific use cases, like heavy towing, sub-zero agricultural work, or 500-mile nonstop interstate hauls, simply did not align with the physical limitations of early lithium-ion battery technology. But in 2026, the engineering departments at major U.S. automakers have effectively declared a truce. They have stopped trying to force everyone into a one-size-fits-all electric box and have instead perfected the range extender. In these 2026 models, the internal combustion engine no longer physically connects to the wheels. There is no heavy, complex 6-speed or 10-speed transmission. There is no driveshaft running the length of the vehicle. Instead, the engine has been radically downsized, hyper-tuned for a single constant revolutions per minute sweet spot, and converted into a dedicated, high-output onboard electrical generator. This engine is now a localized power plant whose only purpose is to feed a high-buffer battery pack or directly provide current to the electric traction motors when the state of charge drops below a specific threshold. Imagine if you are a driver named Thomas, a rancher in rural Wyoming who frequently has to haul a 10,000-pound trailer through high-altitude mountain passes where the nearest high-speed DC fast charger is over 150 miles away. In 2024, Thomas looked at electric trucks and saw a disaster. Under heavy towing loads, those early electric trucks saw their range plummet by over 60%, turning a simple half-day job into a logistical nightmare of searching for charging stations that were rarely designed to accommodate a truck with a massive trailer attached. But in 2026, Thomas sits behind the wheel of a range-extended heavy-duty pickup. For his daily chores around the ranch, the vehicle operates as a pure electric machine, using the solid-state battery capacity we discussed earlier to handle 70 or 80 miles of silent, high-torque work without burning a single drop of fuel. However, when Thomas hits the open highway with that 10,000-pound trailer, the vehicle's centralized computer recognizes the massive increase in energy demand. It seamlessly engages the small, ultra-efficient onboard generator. Because this engine is not tasked with accelerating the vehicle or shifting through gears, it can run at a constant, mathematically optimized load where it achieves nearly 45% thermal efficiency, a figure that was historically impossible for traditional gasoline engines. Thomas now has the instant, massive torque of electric motors for climbing those steep mountain grades. But he retains the energy density and rapid refueling capability of a traditional liquid fuel tank. He can travel 800 miles without ever stopping to plug in, refueling at any standard diesel or gas station in 5 minutes. Yet he still enjoys the massive tax incentives and lower maintenance costs associated with an electrified drivetrain. The potential outcomes for the American economy are profound. We are seeing case studies where these range-extended systems are delivering an effective 3,000 miles of driving between actual trips to the gas station for the average suburban commuter, who primarily drives on battery power, but keeps the generator for weekend trips. This is not just a compromise. It is a total optimization of the two energy systems. The engine in a 2026 RV is designed to last for hundreds of thousands of miles because it never experiences the brutal stress of cold starts under load or the erratic RPM fluctuations of city driving. It is essentially a high-tech backup singer to the electric motor's lead vocals. Step by step, this technology is solving the infrastructure gap that has haunted the United States. While the federal government and private entities have made massive strides in expanding the national charging grid by 2026, the geographical reality of the U.S. means there will always be dead zones. The range extender provides a psychological and physical safety net that is finally convincing the most skeptical 50% of the American car-buying public to make the switch. Furthermore, we are seeing the emergence of carbon-neutral synthetic fuels that are being specifically formulated for these stationary generators. In 2026, several pilot programs across the Sunbelt are producing liquid fuels from captured atmospheric carbon and green hydrogen. Because the range-extending engines are so small and run at such specific, controlled temperatures, they can burn these synthetic fuels with near-zero particulate emissions, providing a pathway to true net-zero transportation without requiring every single American to install a Level 2 home charger overnight. This mechanical resurrection is also triggering a massive design revolution in the interior cabin. Because there is no longer a massive transmission tunnel humping through the middle of the floor or a giant engine block requiring a massive front cooling area. The 2026 models are sporting interior volumes that are nearly 20% larger than their 2023 predecessors. Imagine a mid-sized crossover that has the interior legroom of a long-wheelbase luxury limousine. Designers are utilizing this reclaimed space to turn the vehicle into a mobile office or a living room, featuring swiveling seats, fold-away steering wheels for when the centralized compute architecture takes over on the highway, and massive, high-definition transparent displays integrated directly into the glass. We are also analyzing the impact of this technology on the total cost of ownership. Historical trends show that the most expensive part of a vehicle was often the massive, oversized battery required to give a pure EV enough range for that one long trip you take once a year. By using a range extender, automakers can use a battery that is half the size, drastically reducing the initial purchase price of the vehicle, while still giving the consumer the ability to drive thousands of miles on a single tank of fuel. It is the ultimate hedge against fluctuating electricity prices and the unpredictable nature of the global energy market. However, as exciting as these 5 reasons are, from solid-state batteries and megacasting to supercomputer brains, transparent pricing, and the return of the hyper-efficient engine, there is a massive looming shadow that no one at the dealership wants to talk about. While these 2026 models are undeniably the most advanced machines ever built, the sheer amount of data they are collecting from you is unprecedented. We are talking about vehicles that know your weight, your stress levels, your frequent destinations, and even the tone of your private conversations. As we move into the next phase of this masterclass, we have to address the dark side of this automotive renaissance. What exactly is happening to the massive petabytes of personal data your 2026 car is generating every single hour? And how are the world's largest data brokers and government agencies fighting for backdoor access to your mobile sanctuary? Even more importantly, there is a specific, hidden kill switch that federal regulators are quietly mandating for every vehicle produced this year. Do you actually own your 2026 car? Or are you simply a high-paying tenant in a glass and steel surveillance pod that can be remotely disabled at the touch of a button thousands of miles away? This massive shift toward digital dependency leads us directly into a hidden layer of the automotive industry that is arguably the most critical factor for any American planning to sign a title in 2026. The total erosion of traditional digital ownership and the rise of the vehicle as a service platform. To fully grasp why this is creating such a frenzy in the market, we must dissect the historical trends of software integration in the early 2020s. For decades, when you purchased a car, you owned every physical and mechanical component within that machine. If the car had heated seats, they worked because you paid for the heating elements and the wiring. If it had a high-end sound system, it was yours to use indefinitely. However, the 2026 model year marks the definitive death of that hardware-first philosophy. Automakers have realized that selling a vehicle once for a $50,000 profit is significantly less lucrative than selling a vehicle once and then charging the owner a recurring monthly fee for the next 15 years to access the features already built into the chassis. Imagine if you are a driver named Brian, a software engineer living in Seattle, Washington. Brian just took delivery of a stunning 2026 luxury SUV. On the surface, the vehicle is a masterpiece of engineering. It features the megacast chassis and the solid-state battery we discussed earlier. But as Brian scrolls through his central infotainment screen, he realizes that nearly 40% of the vehicle's physical capabilities are locked behind a digital paywall. The hardware for four-wheel steering is physically installed on the axles, but Brian must pay a $25 monthly subscription to activate the software that allows the rear wheels to turn. The advanced matrix LED headlights are capable of projecting high-resolution safety warnings onto the pavement, but that feature requires a premium safety tier subscription. Even the peak horsepower of his electric motors is digitally throttled, unless Brian opts into a performance software package that unlocks the full discharge rate of the battery. This is the new reality of the 2026 model year. Manufacturers are moving toward a unified hardware production line where every single vehicle rolling off the assembly line is physically identical, containing every possible luxury feature from the factory. They then use the centralized compute architecture to selectively disable these features based on the customer's subscription level. While this sounds like a corporate overreach, the potential outcomes for the second-hand market are actually driving a massive amount of excitement. Historically, if you bought a used car, you were stuck with whatever options the original owner chose. If they didn't opt for the sunroof or the premium audio, you could never have them. In 2026, a second or third owner can simply log into the vehicle's app and instantly upgrade the car's capabilities by subscribing to the features they want. This digital flexibility is fundamentally altering how we calculate vehicle depreciation and long-term asset value. But we must look closer at the step-by-step implementation of the most controversial piece of software in 2026, the federally mandated impaired driving prevention technology. Under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act passed years ago, 2026 is the threshold year where new vehicles are required to have passive systems that monitor for impaired driving. This is not just a simple breathalyzer. The centralized computer we analyzed in the previous section is now utilizing its array of internal cameras and sensors to perform real-time biometric analysis. It is looking for signs of slowed reaction times, erratic steering patterns, and even microscopic changes in your iris dilation that indicate chemical or alcoholic impairment. Let's look at a case study involving a consumer named Elena in Austin, Texas. Elena is driving home late at night after a long shift at the hospital. She is not impaired by any substance, but she is suffering from extreme cognitive fatigue. Her 2026 vehicle's internal sensors detect that her blink rate has slowed significantly, and her lane-keeping corrections have become jerky and reactive, rather than smooth and proactive. Under previous safety paradigms, the car might have just beeped. In 2026, the vehicle's central brain has the legal and technical authority to intervene. It may gradually reduce the vehicle's maximum speed, activate the high-intensity interior cabin lighting to increase her alertness, and eventually, if the data suggests a high probability of a collision, it can safely navigate the vehicle to the side of the road and refuse to re-engage the drive motor until a specific period of rest has passed. The legal and ethical implications of this are currently being debated in courts across the United States. We are seeing a massive pushback from privacy advocates who argue that the vehicle has transitioned from a tool of freedom into a mobile prison. Who owns the data that proves Elena was fatigued? Can that data be subpoenaed by an insurance company to deny a claim or by a prosecutor in a traffic court? In 2026, your car is essentially a black box flight recorder that never stops transmitting. Every hard-braking event, every sharp turn, and even the volume of your music is being logged and uploaded to manufacturer cloud servers. While this data is ostensibly used to improve safety and provide the over-the-air updates Sarah received in our previous example, it also creates a massive target for cyberattacks and government surveillance. Furthermore, we must address the reality of the remote kill switch. Because these vehicles are now permanently connected to the manufacturer's network to facilitate these subscriptions and safety monitors, the manufacturer retains the physical ability to disable the vehicle at any time. We are already seeing case studies where subprime lenders are utilizing this technology to remotely brick a vehicle the moment a payment is 48 hours late. Imagine Brian in Seattle waking up for work, only to find his 2026 SUV has been digitally locked. The screens are dark, the doors won't open, and the battery is refusing to engage because a software glitch in the manufacturer's billing department incorrectly flagged his account. This level of centralized control is a radical departure from the mechanical autonomy Americans have enjoyed for over 100 years. Yet, despite these chilling privacy concerns, the demand for 2026 models is breaking all historical records. Why? Because the American consumer has reached a tipping point where the perceived benefits of total safety and effortless technology have finally outweighed the desire for absolute privacy. We are seeing a generational shift where younger buyers view their car less as a mechanical horse and more as a mobile smartphone. They are willing to trade their data for a vehicle that can practically drive itself across the Mojave Desert, while they sleep in a reclined, climate-controlled cabin. This brings us to the ultimate question that every prospective buyer needs to answer before the end of this year. We have analyzed the batteries, the chassis, the supercomputers, the price wars, and the range extenders. But there is a final highly secretive project that the three biggest US automakers have been working on in total silence. It is a development that aims to solve the one problem that still plagues every American driver: the high cost of energy and the crumbling electrical grid. In 2026, your car is no longer just a consumer of energy. It is becoming a critical piece of the United States' national security infrastructure. What exactly is vehicle-to-grid technology, and how are 2026 car owners currently getting paid by utility companies to simply leave their cars plugged in overnight? Could your car actually become a profit center that pays for its own monthly financing? The numbers are finally coming in, and they are about to change everything you thought you knew about the cost of living. To understand the fifth and perhaps most economically transformative reason why the 2026 model year is the most anticipated in American history, we must look beyond the car as a tool for movement and start viewing it as a massive mobile energy storage asset. We are officially entering the era of vehicle-to-grid integration, or V2G, and it is fundamentally rewriting the financial relationship between the American homeowner and the multi-billion-dollar utility sector. For the last century, your car was a pure liability, a machine that sat idle 95% of the time, slowly depreciating in value while consuming expensive fuel or electricity. In 2026, that idle time is being strategically monetized. The solid-state batteries and high-capacity range extenders we have analyzed throughout this masterclass are no longer just powering your commute. They are actively stabilizing the United States electrical grid, and in many cases, physically paying for their own monthly financing. Imagine if you are a homeowner named Tyler, a high school teacher living in Raleigh, North Carolina. Tyler recently took delivery of a 2026 electric pickup truck equipped with a standard bidirectional charging architecture. Under the legacy energy model, Tyler would come home at 5 in the evening, plug his truck in, and immediately begin drawing expensive peak-hour electricity from the grid to recharge his battery for the next day. This added massive stress to the local utility infrastructure during the exact window when everyone else was turning on their air conditioning and kitchen appliances. In 2026, Tyler's vehicle is far more intelligent. When he plugs his truck into his home's smart gateway, the vehicle doesn't immediately start consuming power. Instead, it enters a state of active grid participation. Between the hours of 5 in the afternoon and 9 at night, when the demand for electricity in Raleigh is at its absolute peak and prices are at their highest, Tyler's truck becomes a localized power station. The vehicle's centralized compute architecture communicates with the local utility provider in real time, sensing that the grid is under heavy load. The truck begins to slowly and safely discharge a small percentage of its massive 80 kilowatt-hour battery back into Tyler's home, or even directly back into the neighborhood grid. Tyler isn't just saving money by not buying expensive peak-hour power. He is actively selling the energy stored in his truck back to the utility company at a massive premium. According to recent case studies from early pilot programs in California and the Northeast, homeowners participating in these virtual power plant networks are seeing potential outcomes where their monthly energy credits are effectively offsetting a significant portion of their vehicle's monthly loan payment. This is the step-by-step breakdown of the new automotive economy. You buy the energy at 2 in the morning when the wind is blowing and the grid is nearly empty, paying as little as 5 cents per kilowatt hour. You then sell that same energy back at 7 in the evening for 40 or 50 cents per kilowatt hour. Your car has essentially become a high-frequency energy arbitrage machine that functions while you are sitting on your sofa watching the news. This isn't a theoretical concept or a futuristic dream. The 2026 models from Detroit and beyond are being built with this exact bidirectional hardware as a standard, mandatory feature to meet new federal energy resilience standards. But the implications for national security and disaster recovery are even more profound. Let us look at a practical scenario involving a consumer named Maria living in a hurricane-prone region of the Florida Panhandle. In the historical trends of the early 2020s, a severe storm that knocked out the power lines meant Maria was left in the dark for days, with her food spoiling and her home security systems deactivated. In 2026, Maria's vehicle is her ultimate insurance policy. When the grid goes down, her truck's high-speed solid-state battery system automatically detects the loss of voltage and instantly switches to vehicle-to-home, or V2H mode. Because the 2026 models have such massive energy density, Maria can power her entire home, including her refrigerator, air conditioning, and medical equipment, for upwards of 5 to 7 days on a single charge. If she has the range-extended model with the ultra-efficient onboard generator we discussed earlier, she can effectively survive a multi-week blackout by using the truck as a portable, high-output microgrid. The truck can even act as a hub for her neighbors, providing a mobile charging station for their devices and essential equipment. This is why the federal government has been so aggressive in subsidizing the rollout of these specific models. In 2026, the United States automotive fleet is being viewed as a massive, decentralized strategic energy reserve. Instead of relying on a few massive, vulnerable power plants, the country is building a resilient network of millions of mobile batteries that can be deployed to stabilize the grid during heat waves or provide emergency power during natural disasters. Furthermore, we have to analyze the massive impact this is having on the cost of automotive insurance and home ownership. Major insurance carriers in 2026 are beginning to offer bundled policies that recognize the vehicle as a home safety asset. Because your car can prevent home damage during a power outage, by keeping some pumps running or maintaining climate control to prevent pipe bursts, your total household risk profile is dramatically reduced. We are seeing early data from insurance case studies suggesting that the presence of a bidirectional V2G vehicle in a garage can lead to significant reductions in homeowners' insurance premiums. This creates a cascading financial benefit that makes the 2026 model year an irresistible value proposition for the American middle class. The level of detail manufacturers are putting into these energy systems is staggering. Engineers have developed highly advanced cycle management algorithms that ensure this constant charging and discharging does not prematurely degrade the battery. They are utilizing the solid-state chemistry's inherent longevity, which is rated for thousands of more cycles than legacy lithium-ion packs, to ensure that using your car as a battery for your house today doesn't mean you will need a new battery for your car in 5 years. They have mathematically optimized the discharge rates to stay within the peak efficiency window of the power electronics, minimizing heat and maximizing the lifespan of the entire system. However, as we analyze this fifth and final reason for the massive excitement surrounding the 2026 models, We must realize that this energy revolution is the final piece of a much larger, much more complex puzzle. We have explored the batteries, the chassis, the supercomputers, the price wars, the range extenders, and now the energy arbitrage. But knowing what these cars can do is only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to actually get one without falling into the remaining traps of a rapidly changing market. As we move into the final stages of this deep dive masterclass, we are going to pull back the curtain on the secret production schedules that the manufacturers are desperately trying to hide. There is a specific reason why certain colors and trim levels are being delayed until the fourth quarter, and it has everything to do with the massive, undercover trade dispute over the raw materials used in those solid-state cells. If you order your 2026 vehicle even 1 week too late, you could find yourself trapped in a 2-year waiting list that makes the shortages of 2022 look like a minor inconvenience. Even more critically, there is a massive shift in the federal tax credit structure that is set to expire on December 31st of this year. A change that could instantly increase the cost of your vehicle by $7,500 overnight. What are the 3 specific dates you must have circled on your calendar to ensure you are on the right side of this automotive revolution? And what is the one question you must ask every product specialist at the dealership to prove you are an insider who cannot be manipulated? The endgame of the 2026 car market is about to begin, and the stakes have never been higher for your financial future. This is where we transition from the high-level engineering and the macroeconomics of the showroom into the tactical, high-stakes endgame of the 2026 car market. To navigate this final stretch successfully, you must understand the 2 critical timelines that are currently colliding in a way that will either save you a fortune or leave you stranded on a 3-year waiting list. The first timeline is the highly secretive, often manipulated production schedule of the major manufacturers. We are currently tracking a massive undercover trade dispute centered on the ultra-pure lithium sulfide and specialized ceramic electrolytes required for the solid-state batteries we analyzed earlier. Because these specific materials are currently caught in a geopolitical tug-of-war between North American sourcing mandates and overseas refining monopolies, the production of the most desirable 2026 trims has become extremely lopsided. Historical trends from previous supply chain crises suggest that manufacturers will prioritize their highest-margin luxury trims for the first half of the year, often artificially delaying the more affordable mass-market versions until the fourth quarter. If you are waiting for that entry-level, highly efficient model to hit the lot, you are entering what we call the Q4 danger zone. In this window, the massive backlog of orders from early 2026 is expected to peak exactly as the final remaining domestic supply of battery components hit a seasonal bottleneck. This is not just a minor delay. It is a strategic maneuver by automakers to force you into a more expensive vehicle today, by creating an artificial scarcity of the affordable models tomorrow. Furthermore, you must be acutely aware of the tectonic shift in federal financial incentives. As we stand here in 2026, the landscape of government support has been completely overhauled by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. For years, American consumers relied on the direct $7,500 point-of-sale tax credit that made electric vehicles financially viable for the middle class. However, as of September 30, 2025, those direct credits have officially vanished, replaced by a much more complex system of temporary auto loan deductions and targeted bonus depreciation for business owners. For the average individual buyer in 2026, the game is no longer about getting a check from the government. It is about the mathematical optimization of your financing structure. The new federal guidelines now allow you to deduct up to $10,000 in interest on loans for new vehicles, provided they meet strict U.S. assembly and mineral sourcing requirements. This means the 2026 model you choose isn't just a vehicle. It is a tax-advantaged financial instrument. If you purchase a vehicle that does not meet these specific domestic content thresholds, you are effectively paying a 15% premium over your neighbor who did their homework. This is why the strategic timing of your purchase is so vital. You are racing against a clock that resets on December 31st, when the specific allocation for these loan deductions is scheduled to undergo a massive downward adjustment based on the latest domestic manufacturing data. Imagine if you are a driver named John, a project manager living in Phoenix, Arizona. John has been eyeing a 2026 range-extended truck for months. He knows he needs the vehicle for his long-range site visits, but he is hesitant to pull the trigger because of the fluctuating interest rates. John's mistake is waiting for the perfect market conditions. By the time the fourth quarter rolls around, the specific trim John needs is backordered until 2028 due to the ceramic electrolyte shortage. and the federal loan deduction window has effectively closed because the national cap was reached in October. John is forced to either pay a $10,000 premium for a luxury trim he doesn't need or continue driving his aging, high-maintenance gas vehicle for another 2 years. To avoid John's fate, you must utilize the one specific insider question that separates the vulnerable consumer from the market expert. When you walk into a dealership or engage with a product specialist online, do not ask about the monthly payment, and do not ask about the current lot inventory. Instead, you must look them directly in the eye and ask, what is the current verified status of the build-to-order pipeline for the domestic content certification of this specific VIN? This question is a massive psychological and technical leverage point. By asking for the verified status of the build-to-order pipeline, you are signaling to the dealership that you understand they no longer own the inventory and that you are aware of the agency model's fixed pricing structure. By specifying the domestic content certification of the VIN, you are informing them that you know exactly which vehicles qualify for the $10,000 federal interest deduction and which ones do not. This forces the product specialist to stop the traditional sales script and provide you with raw, unfiltered data from the manufacturer's back-end logistical system. This is the only way to confirm if the vehicle you are being promised actually exists in the production queue or if they are simply trying to sell you a high-margin, non-qualifying unit that has been sitting on the lot because no one else wanted to pay the hidden tax penalty. We are also analyzing the massive, often ignored impact of the certified pre-owned boom that is hitting the market in the second half of 2026. Because of the aggressive leasing terms offered in 2023 and 2024, we are currently seeing a historical surge of off-lease electric and hybrid vehicles flooding the market. These are high-quality, relatively low-mileage machines that still possess significant battery warranties. For the informed buyer who might be priced out of the high-end 2026 solid-state models, these lease returns represent the ultimate value play. We are tracking case studies where 2-year-old premium electric crossovers are being sold for nearly 50% of their original MSRP, yet they are fully compatible with the new software-defined vehicle updates and the centralized compute upgrades we discussed earlier. The strategy for 2026 is clear. You must be proactive, you must be data-driven, and you must be willing to walk away from any transaction that does not provide a transparent, out-the-door price that accounts for the new federal tax landscape. You are operating in a market that has been fundamentally redesigned to reward those who possess specialized knowledge and punish those who rely on outdated consumer habits. This is the end game. You have the engineering data, you have the financial roadmap, and you have the tactical insider questions to protect your net worth. But as we prepare to close this masterclass, there is one final overarching reality that connects every single point we have covered. Whether it is the solid-state battery, the megacast chassis, the supercomputer brain, the transparent pricing, or the range-extended resurrection, they all point toward a singular, unavoidable conclusion about the future of the American road. We have saved the most important realization for last because it is the one that will determine not just what you drive, but how you live in the decade to come. What is the final, definitive verdict on the 2026 model year? And how can you ensure that you are not just a passenger in this revolution, but the one holding the steering wheel of your financial destiny? The definitive verdict on the 2026 model year is that we are no longer just witnessing a simple update in automotive styling or a minor bump in fuel economy. We are witnessing the birth of the second age of the automobile, a complete and total convergence of energy, compute, and manufacturing that hasn't been seen since the first Model T rolled off the line. This is the moment where the car stops being a standalone machine and becomes a foundational node in your personal, financial, and digital ecosystem. To ensure you are the one holding the steering wheel of your financial destiny, you must view every vehicle purchase through the lens of long-term asset utility rather than short-term consumer status. The historical trends of the last century taught us to expect our cars to lose value every day, but the case studies of 2026 are showing potential outcomes where the right vehicle, maintained with the right software updates and utilized within a vehicle-to-grid energy network, can actually provide a net positive contribution to a household's resilience. Imagine if you are a driver named Kevin, a mid-level manager living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Kevin has spent the last decade trapped in the traditional cycle of 3-year leases, always chasing the latest dashboard screen, while watching his monthly payments climb higher with every new contract. In 2026, Kevin breaks the cycle. He doesn't just buy a car. He invests in a 2026 model with a megacast chassis and a solid-state battery pack designed for a 20-year service life. Because the hardware is standardized and the improvements come through the air, Kevin realizes that he can keep this vehicle for a decade or more, effectively deleting a massive monthly expense from his budget, while his car continues to gain features. By year 5, Kevin's car has received 12 major software updates. Its self-driving capabilities have reached a level of precision he couldn't have imagined on delivery day, and his battery health remains at 98% because of the superior solid-state chemistry. This is the ultimate financial pivot. By opting for a 2026 model, Kevin has shifted from being a consumer of a depreciating product to being an owner of a high-performance, upgradable energy asset. The step-by-step reality of this transition requires a fundamental change in how you maintain your vehicle. In the past, maintenance meant oil changes, belt replacements, and spark plugs. In 2026, maintenance means digital hygiene and energy management. You must proactively manage your vehicle's data permissions to ensure your driving habits are being accurately reported to your insurance provider for the maximum possible discount. You must ensure your home's electrical panel is optimized for bidirectional power flow, so you can participate in the peak shaving energy markets we discussed. This is how you take control. You are no longer at the mercy of the dealership service department's upsell tactics. You are the administrator of a sophisticated mobile computer. The data suggests that Americans who master this digital transition will see a total cost of ownership that is nearly 40% lower than those who stick with legacy internal combustion vehicles or first-generation, liquid lithium-ion electric cars. We also have to address the long-term potential outcomes of the massive infrastructure investments currently reaching maturity across the United States. Throughout 2024 and 2025, the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program successfully deployed thousands of ultra-fast charging hubs every 50 miles along the primary interstate highways. In 2026, we are seeing the direct result: the total democratization of travel. It no longer matters if you live in an apartment in New York City or a ranch in Montana. The 2026 models, whether pure electric or range extended, have the hardware to utilize this high-density energy network with zero friction. The case studies of cross-country travelers in 2026 show that the cost of high-speed energy is finally stabilizing as more renewable sources come online, further insulating the American driver from the volatile swings of the global oil market. However, the most profound realization of this masterclass is that the 2026 model year is the last great window of opportunity for the individual owner. As autonomous technology continues to advance at an exponential rate, we are seeing early indicators that the automotive industry is moving toward a transportation as a service model. There are powerful corporate interests that would prefer you never own a car again, instead paying a per-mile fee to a fleet of robot access owned by a handful of global conglomerates. By purchasing a 2026 model now, you are securing your personal mobility and your privacy for the next decade. You are planting a flag in the ground and declaring that you will not be a passive subscriber to your own life. You are choosing a vehicle that can grow with you, that can power your home, and that can protect your family with the most advanced supercomputing ever put on 4 wheels. To truly capitalize on this, you must look at the specific manufacturing dates we mentioned earlier. The window for the maximum federal interest deductions is closing, and the supply of high-grade solid-state materials is under immense pressure. The informed buyer is making their move in the first half of 2026, targeting the domestic content certified VINs and utilizing the agency model's fixed pricing to bypass the dealership games. They are looking past the shiny paint and the leather seats to evaluate the underlying compute architecture and the thermal management systems. They are buying the car that represents the peak of the engineering revolution, not the one that is a desperate holdover from the previous decade. As we conclude this deep dive, remember that the excitement for the 2026 car models is not just about the thrill of the new. It is about the power of choice. For the first time in a generation, the American consumer has the upper hand. You have the technology to eliminate gas stations from your life, the manufacturing to get a better car for less money, and the digital tools to make your car pay for itself. The rules of the road have been rewritten, and the map for the next 10 years has been laid out right here. You now have the exact analytical framework required to identify the winners and avoid the losers in the most important automotive market of our lifetime. The question is no longer whether you will buy a 2026 car, but which specific engineering philosophy you will choose to align your future with. Will you choose the pure solid-state path, the range-extended resurrection, or the second-hand value play? Each path offers a different set of potential outcomes for your wallet and your lifestyle. But regardless of which door you walk through, you are doing so with eyes wide open, backed by the data, the case studies, and the insider secrets that the mainstream media is still trying to catch up with. The 2026 revolution is here, it is real, and it is parked right at the edge of your horizon. But even as we master the 2026 market, the industry is already moving toward a secret breakthrough in solid-form hydrogen storage that could make everything we've talked about today look like child's play. There is a quiet war happening in the laboratories of the Midwest that will decide the fuel of the 2030s, and the first prototypes are already hitting the test tracks in complete secrecy. What is the hidden technology that could disrupt the electric revolution before it even reaches full speed? And why are the world's most powerful energy CEOs suddenly dumping their battery stocks for a mysterious new chemical compound? The next chapter of this masterclass is already being written in the shadows.